Hello guys, in this video I'm going to share with you this file 2022 cost estimate. This is the template to calculate finished product unit cost. Let's just take a look at an example. Here we go. The leftmost column is the cut table number. It can be either a real cut table that happened in the past, or in this example 107 for example is just a number that I made up so that the products are sorted in the way that I prefer. Next we have the cut table date. It is the real transaction date when the cut table was done. Next we got finished product code system, and then you have something here called finished product code sales order perspective. What this is about is this column D is the real finished product code that should be in use, and it is based on what we are ordered from clients. For example, they may send us a purchase order and they say, let's take a look at another example for now. Here we go. Clients can send a purchase order to us and they want 400 units of these, and they want 600 units of these. Ideally, our product codes in our accounting or ERP system should be made according to the SO perspective, so that right from the moment we consume raw material to the very end of the process where we have the finished products ready to be sold to the clients, we are on top of the quantity and the progress of each of these product codes respectively. However, in reality, at the moment, the real life process of our company is less than perfect. So the quantities of these two products, while they are in the pipeline, is not separated well. So you can't really tell how many of these are at the sewing work centers, how many of these in particular are at the sewing work centers, and how many of these in terms of quantities are in washing, and how many of these in washing, and so on and so forth. People tend to sum up these two and give you just a total number for quantities when things are moving in the pipeline. So in our current accounting system, we use just one product code for both of these, which is for sure less than ideal. But anyway, for now, we need this column in case we want to sync the data and cross-check the information with our accounting system. Now, let's get back to our current example. Here we go. Next, input item code, input item category, and bill of material and bill of operations output. These three columns are closely related. Let's take a look at them line by line. So first of all, you got the main fabric, which belongs to the material category. And when you consume this item, the output that you get is work in progress for sewing. That is the category of output that we're talking about. Similarly, you got linings for the pockets. It belongs to the product category material as well. And when you consume this line item, what you get as a result is a product that is work in progress for sewing. Besides consuming things, we also need to consume service. People need to do something in order to transform things from input into output. And we are talking about these two services: pattern layout print and cut fee fabric. These service items could either be outsourced from a vendor, or they could be done by our workers. Similarly, When we move to the next stage of the production process, the output in focus now is work in progress for washing. And in order to produce this output, we need to consume these three material and this service, sewing fee. Next, we got wash fee, and that one is to produce work in progress for finishing. Finally, this work in progress for finishing would be transformed into finished product ready for sales if we consume these material and also this service. To be precise, when we are talking about consuming material in order to produce an output anywhere in the production process, we're talking about bill of material. But when we're talking about consuming service in order to produce an output, we are talking about bill of operations. So we may want to rename this column to make it precise. There we go. These 5 columns are about the bill of material or bill of operations, which is this very last column. And by the way, this should be meters, meters. All right. Sometimes things are straightforward. For example, the first one, the main fabric. In order to produce one finished product, or more precisely, 1 unit of work in progress for sewing, we need to consume 0.48 meters of fabric. And there you go. This is a formula for the bill of material. At other times, things are not as straightforward, but don't be confused. Just keep things simple and input whatever data you receive in real life. For example, this table is about 490 units of finished products, which requires 3 meters of printed pattern layout. Just input whatever information you have and the formula will work out by itself. And guys, we are talking about inventory units of measure here. There's a note here saying it should be the smallest one in the units of measure group to get more accurate BoM data in the production order. What it means is that this inventory UOM should be the smaller one compared to the one over here, that is purchasing UOM. Take a look at an example, buttons. You want to put unit, a button, as the unit in use for production order, for bill of material information. You don't want to use pack as your inventory UOM. We all know that pack is the purchasing UOM, but it comprises of 1,100 units. So if you put 1 divided by 1,100 in packs, and in an accounting system, what you may have is rounding only to 2 decimal places. There you go. Obviously, due to rounding error, this result for the bill of material isn't as accurate as we want. Let me move it back to what it used to be. So, that was it about quantity. The next thing we want to look at is the price. And by the way, this should be kilogram and consistently kilogram across the board. For this column, just enter the input purchase price by the purchasing units of measure. This is the real data that you get from working with the vendors. If you're wondering, I got the quantity in inventory UOM, but here I only got the purchase price in purchasing UOM. How do I get to the purchase price in inventory UOM? Well, these columns are for that conversion in particular. Take a look at this one. 52,000 VND for 1 kilogram. 1 kilogram is equivalent to 65 units. And therefore, with this simple calculation, you get the input purchase price by inventory UOM. Straightforward, isn't it? We got the quantity by inventory UOM, price by inventory UOM, and that's how we get to the output unit cost by input item code. Next, we have a column for remarks, and then we got the results of our calculations. This one here, work in progress for sewing, is simply a sum ifs formula like that. It's essentially telling us that after the stage of cutting, our output, work in progress ready for sewing, costs this much. Similarly here, we got this formula is the sum of the value of the previous output and any added value that incurred during this stage. So work in progress for washing costs a little bit more, and so on and so forth. You got work in progress for finishing. Finally, you get the finished product for sales. These four columns are very important for opening balance of inventory because we're not just interested in the quantity, but we're also interested in the value per unit of each inventory item. So either in an opening balance setup or in a stock count, this is where you go to if you want information about value per unit. Next, we have these columns that give us an overview of the percentages. It's obvious, right? It goes from 46% when it's ready for sewing and then to 93% when the product is ready for washing. These two columns are just for some extra double checking. Here's a formula, some ifs, straightforward. Then you got this double check to make sure that the number is right. If everything is zero, it's all good. This column here is only for sorting purposes. I would generate a pivot table later, and I would rather see my products sorted in this order. That is what that column was for. And here's the formula. That is it. That was it for the general flow of this Excel template. I want to show you some more examples to illustrate the production flow. So take a look at the current example. These items, accessory for sewing and then the sew fee itself, would indicate that the output is work in progress for washing. However, this is not always the case. For this product, there is washing in place. That's why it looks like that. But for another product where there is no washing involved, what you see is such items related to the sewing process, like accessory for sewing and sew fee. The output is work in progress for finishing. So keep that in mind. The last example to take a look is this one. This is an interesting case because there are many activities involved. You see, in order to produce the output, work in progress for sewing, many line items were involved. The first item was the main fabric. The second item, you can see that the product code appears twice up here and down here because they are for different purposes. Here it is for the pocket linings, and this is 0.033 meters. Down here is for a different purpose. It is for piping. So, for the first two items of material, the related services were printing out the pattern layout and fabric cutting. Then we got this fabric code again, and the related service for it is cut fee piping. Straightforward. Here we got this interfacing product code on two separate lines to make it clear that 0.07 meters was for a different purpose and 0.03 meters was for another purpose. Cut fee interfacing is directly related to the line item just above it, 0.03 meters, and it is what it tells you. Cut fee for interfacing, this one is related to interfacing. The Vietnamese notes over here are clearer. There you see, it's related to this line item, not exactly to this one, just this one. So these two are related. Let's keep going. It's a standard story here. You consume material and you incur sewing fee in order to produce the output called work in progress for washing. Then you got wash fee. Then you got a couple of items related to finishing in order to produce finished products for sales. What's interesting here is this item, embroider fee. The point here is please remember to include all the related material and services in the bill of material and bill of operations. We don't want to miss out on any items. That said, for certain items that are so insignificant like barcode, sticker, decal, we don't want to put it into the bill of material because we're not going to track it in terms of quantity. So we're not treating it as an inventory item with quantities. We're just going to treat it as a consumable item. You know what? At the finishing stage, when we are producing finished products for sales that are own brand, we are certain about the number of barcode, sticker, decal we're consuming. Because, for own brand, it is for sure which EAN it is, what product description, and what price it is going to be. It's straightforward. However, for manufacturer's brand, the story is different. At the finishing stage, usually we are not sure to whom we are selling. If we are selling this product to client 1, the SKU number as recorded in this client system, the product description related to this SKU number, and also the barcode can be such and such. When we are selling this product to another client, all that information can be different. Also, the template used to print out the barcode sticker differ client to client. For example, for the barcode sticker of client 1, you may want to print out certain information like SKU, EAN, product description, but you don't want to include the price in there. For another client, it may be totally different, and the price should be in a corner or to the left or to the right. The SKU should be on top or should be at the bottom. It's a totally different design for the barcode. As you can see, at this stage of finishing, if we are not certain to whom the products will go, there's no way we can be sure which barcode sticker to use. What happens in real life is people skip the step of sticking this decal onto the hang tag for manufacturer's brand products. They would unpack the finished products to do this step later once it is clear to which clients how many products are to be delivered. That means that there is always a pending quantity of finished products sitting around with no barcode sticker on it yet. It is impractical to run around chasing people for how many barcode stickers they put onto the hang tag every time they do, so as to get a real-time consumption quantity. Even if you try to do so, the reported figures is unreliable anyway. So anyway, for such a trivial item like barcode sticker, it is not worth being treated as an input item in the bill of material, but rather just as a consumable item.